Michael is from our family. Normally when I have a problem with my family, I solve it at home. That means should call it like internal affairs. What happens home, stay at home.
Can you tell us anything in terms of his involvement
No,
or lack of with the
at
first
all.
team? About the incident?
What happens at home, stay at home, and it's solved. Have been solved at home. That's all I can tell you now.
Is he in the squad for this weekend?
At all.
Pardon?
At all.
Sorry.
At all.
He's not in the squad. He's not. Can you tell us when you envisage him returning to the first team squad?
It's part of the situation. It's part of the situation, so I cannot tell you nothing regarding to that. The only thing I can tell is not part of the squad for next match.
Can you tell us if he's been disciplined by the club?
I cannot tell you anything else. You keep insisting. We have the entire afternoon. We can go, but you're not going to have an answer regarding to that. I think I was really clear from the beginning. What happens at home stays at home and is solved at home.
Okay. A new addition this week in Jonathan Johansson. What made you pick him?
So 3 points. First of all, he's a Rangers man. He knows the Scottish football, and he was the one that it was easy to link with our way of see the training, the game, our preparation, our methodology. So he was the chosen one.
And he's making an impact immediately, I assume, because he will know the surroundings of this club.
Of course, so that's one of the points I identify in all of them. I mean, all of them were having this issue. Was not really an easy decision to take Jonathan from all the group, a very good candidate. But the point that was the one that makes all the difference was the third one, regarding to be easier to work with us because we share the same identity, same philosophy, and it's easy for him to be on the pitch since the first day, knowing exactly what he need to do.
What are the main things you've used him for so far, or relied on him for?
First of all, we have a lot of points that we are going to identify the Scottish teams and the Scottish football on a daily basis, and especially on a weekly basis, as I told since the beginning. It can add something that you cannot identify only in 4 or 5 matches. So he knows the players. So that's one point that he's doing it regarding to that situation to help us to know the Scottish football. So what is besides or behind when you analyze one team, the group of players that normally you cannot watch in those moments because they are not playing, but he knows those players. The other point is also that we are assessing in the youth system, we are assessing in our squad, we are assessing in Scottish football players, we are assessing in international level, and I have a lot of work. All the staff is having a lot of work. So one of the tasks also for Jonathan is to assess for those players and pass us a detailed report regarding to it. So it's one of our staff. We have totally trust on him. So it's one of ours, and all the information that is passing to me is the same, that I was the one that make that assessment. And the other thing is, because we always like to work in front of the time, is passing to me the analysis, the way I want him to pass it to me before I watch our next opponent, always 1 week ahead. Pedro is the responsible to do all that analysis. I do the analysis in order to have an overview about the next opponent, and Jonathan is doing it one step ahead in order for me to have the information before I start analyzing myself.
There's a story in the paper this morning about Barry McKay's contract situation. Can you bring us up to speed on what's happening?
I don't discuss stories about papers. I just discuss the reality. Barry is our player. I know that he's finishing the contract by the end of the next season. And when it's time to discuss it, if it's to renew or to end it, we will be pleased to tell you that information. But I'm not going to discuss nothing that is coming on the papers, because it's the same thing. So we see the things from inside to outside, or to keep it inside on the inside, not coming from outside inside, and I'm going to discuss any sort of those situations.
Would you like him to be here for long-term future then?
He's a bright player. He's a player with top qualities, with with a great potential, but I want to add something on his football. So he's my boy, and I want to keep him, to raise him and to educate him and to coach him to another level. But so far, he's doing perfect. He's a great kid, and he still needs to progress a lot, but he's always one player that everyone likes to have in his squad.
When you were appointed, it said from the start that you would bring in someone with Scottish football knowledge. You've now done that with Johansson. With regards to the director of football, have the board given you any update on that? Or?
Yeah. They are working on it. They are working to get the right person, and when the time came regarding to that, everybody knows it. But of course, I'm following all the time that situation. And meanwhile, we have no one regarding to it. So I'm not only the head coach, but I'm manager as the British knowledge or the British word that manager means. I need to do it, and we are assessing regarding to all those situations. But when the time we have someone beside me working in that, so my job will be easier, because I don't need to spend that much time assessing players, but only to have the beginning decision and the final one at the same time.
Is that an appointment that you would like to be involved in?
No, it's something that is not on my decision, and I don't want to take part of it. It's something that I'm used to have a football director to work directly with him. So it need to be elected the same way I was. So with sharing the philosophy of this club, knowing what represents being manager or football director about this club, and the thoughts are only about winning and help this club to grow all the time.
It's Partick Thistle at home this weekend for Rangers. How much confidence can you take from last weekend's result against Aberdeen going into this fixture?
It's going to be a very interesting challenge. I think Alan and Partick, they are doing a fantastic league. I mean, this is going to be the first of two matches that we need to play against them. This is going to be home. The next one will be away, because we already have the fixtures. So we expect a difficult challenge, because they are doing very good. And we want to extend and prove to ourselves that what happened in the last game, it was something that we really work hard to get it. So it's going to be an interesting challenge with one team and one coach that know exactly what represents to play in Ibrox. Of course, they are coming also to fight for the 3 points, and we expect an interesting challenge.
Is this the first time you've been involved in a league where the league splits?
No, not at all. It's my third time. The first time when it split, but in a different way, was in Greece, because the champion was placed apart from that. So they end up, by the end of the April, the champion was not playing anymore, and only the teams that were fighting to be on the Europa League positions were fighting for it. So it was splitting like this, not about the top six or the bottom six in order to be promoted, to be relegated, or to get higher positions on the table. In Mexico also splits, but splits in a way like in the playoff. It's totally different and is much more competitive, because let's say if you split in the bottom 10, and those guys stop, they are not playing anymore. But you have the top 8 where they are going for a playoff. So the first we're playing with the 8, the second with the 7, and we go like quarterfinals, home and away, semifinals, home and away, final, home and away. So you have in 3 weeks 6 matches to get the champion. So the team that ends up on the first position, or the one that ends up on the 8th position, can end up champions.
Can you say that one more time, please? how does this setup then compare, do you think?
Sorry,
How does our system?
No, it's we already have a champion. So the only places that maybe being fighting on the top 6 is about the European places. That's all. So the the competitiveness is not present because you're almost not fighting for nothing. In Mexico, the team position, the 8th position, could dream to be champion, and happens sometimes. So here you have already the champion, so it's different the way the things are splitting. It's not a playoff rule that like they had, like their neighbors from the States, and normally they do it like that all the time, so they follow the same process.
So in Greece, the champions are announced in April, and then
it's not announced if it's
if they cannot be
finish,
caught,
yeah,
then they just drop out the system.
They just go and relax. They just go and relax and prepare for the beginning of the next season. Because if you see, if we end up like we expect to end up on the 27th of May, and the problem about the vacations and the period for you to do the preseason is not being planned in advance, because the Europa UEFA dates, you cannot change it. They are just there. But the SFA, you can change it. So that means that you may need to think about it in order to change something, to give more holidays on the first place to the players, and on the second place to give more time of preparation for you when you get on the qualifiers. To have more time, that means you get there with a different level of preparation.
Are you therefore alluding that you'd perhaps like to see more midweek fixtures at the start of the season?
I'm just saying what I'm analyzing, just arriving by now, and saying that because I also passed through that situation in Mexico, when the teams reach the end of the competitions, like finals, especially when it's in December, you only have like 1 week of vacations. And playing playoffs with 1 week of vacations mean that the stress that causes, it's too much, that you really need to rest. And after to rest and restart all over with the ship again to be competitive, most of the times you start being competitive on match day 4, match day 5. It's normal, it's human, it's biological. And if you need, and if you can change something regarding to that, I think all the Scottish teams, I'm not talking just for myself, all the Scottish teams will be appreciated for that, the players, because they have more time to reduce and release the stress, and after came totally clean to restart all over again with more time to prepare. And of course, it's not easy to pass from 3 or 4 qualifiers to get on the group stage. So it's just one idea. It's just one idea.
Sure. As things stand, and if say Rangers get to the Scottish Cup final and you secure Europa League place, how many days off will your players get before they return?
Depends, because normally you have like you need 5 weeks to prepare one player biologically. I mean, regarding to his fitness levels and levels of match preparation and everything, like to be ready to play the first match, the first competitive match, between 5 and 6 weeks. So you're not going to get it. So you need to balance between the time they need to recover, which is not going to be that much. And by law, you know, you need at least 28 days of vacations. It's the British law that says, not me. And they are not going to have it. So I need to have a balance between vacations and preparation time. Needs to be like
How do you balance that then?
I need to balance because I have the schedule on 29th of June. I know that I'm having the first leg of the first pre-qualifier. So I just from there I need to come down and I say 5 weeks I'm not having, 4 weeks I'm not having, 3 weeks maybe. So it goes like this, and I need to create one balance because the planning always coming from the fixture down, not the opposite.
Pedro, is there any players coming back from injury this weekend?
No, just Harry returned to train with us. He started yesterday, so for sure we are going to repeat the same players on the 18 list.